Hello and welcome to the morning sports briefing here on New Zealand Sports Radio. Hi, I'm Paul and I'll be your host this morning. In the news today, we've got cricket action, international cricket action over in the West Indies, and we'll bring you up to speed with the rugby news and more about tournament news than anything else at this stage. The America's Cup got underway yesterday. We had NBA and NBL action in the basketball. In the football, we had the A-League and also New Zealand Premiership action. There's news out of the NRL that kicks off this weekend, and also golf news and cycling news as the Paris-Nice carries on, but also in the women's cycling news as well. So a packed show for you this morning. Here. And this is your best way to start the day up to speed with all of the important sports news. A person who will not be kicking off this season in the NRL is Cameron Smith, who has eventually announced his retirement on the eve of the season. Something that a lot of people were predicting, but had caused a lot of discussion during the off-season. But with him unveiling his statue outside the ground down there in Melbourne, he announced that he would be stopping his. He would not be playing any longer. So Cameron Smith, one of the one of the top players clearly in the NRL, hanging up his boots. You can hear what the boys thought about that on the standoff show from last night, where they talk about Cameron Smith, but they mainly talk about the upcoming NRL season, and that is available as a podcast. Just search New Zealand Sports Radio on your favourite podcatcher. Also, yesterday in the football, that's over in Australia, in the A-League, we had just one game as Sydney FC beat Western United 2-0, moving Sydney FC into a three-way battle there. 5th, 6th and 7th are all on 15 points now. So tight there in the A-League. They're in 7th place, Sydney FC, only 2 points behind second, which shows you, yeah, it's a very competitive league at the moment there in the A-League. Over on this side of the ditch, they had the final game of the round season for the ISPS Handler Men's Premiership. One game had to be rescheduled due to COVID, and that was Hawke's Bay United against Eastern Suburbs. Eastern Suburbs came out ahead 2-1 in that one, and that meant that was good enough for them to climb up into 4th in the table. So the table finishes with Auckland City top ahead of Wellington FC, who are clear of Hamilton Wanderers. Then Eastern Suburbs just missing out on the playoffs, or Tackle United and Canterbury United, both just 1 point behind Eastern Suburbs. Then Hawke's Bay and Wellington Phoenix at the bottom there. That means that the semi-finals will be Team Wellington against Hamilton Wanderers on Saturday the 13th at 2 p.m. and Auckland City against Eastern Suburbs on Sunday the 14th at 2 p.m. So semi-finals this weekend, folks, at 2 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. Moving on then to the basketball. And over in the NBL, there were two games yesterday. The South East Melbourne Phoenix beat Melbourne United 97-92, but Kiwi eyes will have been on the Breakers versus the Taipans. And boy, oh boy, what a finish we had to this one. It was all tied up with seconds to go as the Breakers threw the ball in. They went to the basket, but Ty Webster missed the shot. The ball was batted out, but the rebound was claimed by Ambaconi on the just outside of the D, and with the buzzer about to, he shot 2 3-pointers towards the basket. The buzzer buzzed in flight, but it was all net. It went through, meaning that the Breakers won 76-73. That beat a buzzer shot there by Abakomi as one of his 20 points for the game. It meant that they won it. Colton Iverson also got a double-double with 11 rebounds and 15 points in that one. Ty Webster with 16 as so they beat the Taipan 76-73 in that one. That means that the Breakers now in the table are still in 8th place, but with 4 wins and 7 losses, chasing down the Kings with 6 wins and 7 losses. So a bit of a gap there as the Breakers try and climb up the table. Over then in the NBA, and the action returns today with 2 games: the Grizzlies versus the Wizards at 2 o'clock, and the Mavericks versus the Spurs at 2:30. In that one, the Pelicans will be in action tomorrow. That's as the action sort of resumes after the All-Star break. Where should we go to next? Let's go to the golf next. And in the golf, in the PGA, the Players Championship will be this weekend. Danny Lee will be the key representative in that one after making the cut last weekend in the Arnold Palmer Invitational. For the European Tour, no Kiwi representatives at the Qatar Masters, and the LPGA taking a break this weekend. Over in the cycling, and it was stage 4 of Paris-Nice, the race to the sun. Primož Roglič for Jumbo-Visma took control and has gone top of the overall standings, being helped out there by George Bennett, who is currently down in 38th, but that's his role is purely as a domestique, supporting Primož Roglič in this one. So Primož Roglič now 35 seconds ahead of Schachmann from Bora Hansgrove in that one. Also, at the moment, in the Women's Tour, it's the Healthy Aging Tour is happening. This is not a World Tour event. It's a level below, and it's a 3-stage tour there. There's 1 Kiwi in action in this one, and that is Georgia Danford, who finished 7th on the opening stage in the sprint there for the Andy Schleck CP Envist Limo Losch team in that one. The other Kiwi riders taking a break after Strade Bianche last weekend. Next up, the America's Cup kicked off yesterday with 2 races. The team in New Zealand, Emirates Team New Zealand, made a good start in the first race. We're getting ahead, and they took that lead maintained that lead throughout the race to win by 31 seconds at the finish. In the second race, Jumbo-Visma made the better start, and again they held the lead all the way through to win by 7 seconds. So it's 1 race each after the opening day. There today will be a rest day before we have 2 more races on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, through and basically every day after today, until the get a winner 1st to 7 in that one. There, so New Zealand showed a bit more speed, especially in that second race, closing down the bit of a gap, but it wasn't enough for them to be able to overtake and win the race. Don't forget you can support New Zealand Sports Radio by heading over to patreon.com/NZ Sport Radio, and for as little as $1 a month, not only will you support the station to bring you all the content that we're bringing you, but also you'll get extra content and shows, including the one for your is only that I released last night, yesterday, which was around the Indo-Kiwi T20 Cricket League. So extra content around that. Talking of cricket, and the West Indies and Sri Lanka are playing out their first one-dayer. Currently, this is live happening at the moment. Sri Lanka went into bat and scored 232 in their 50 overs. In reply, The West Indies are currently at 29 off 6 overs for no loss. Sri Lanka were powered away by a century partnership by their openers as Karantani scored 52 before getting caught and bowled by Pollard, and Danshuk Guntharaki Aka scored 55 before he was out in a very strange fashion, obstructing the field. And I'm sure that will cause lots of controversy there in that one, and we'll see what see the fallout from that. There were a couple of runouts as well with in that one. So 3 of the wickets, as the Sri Lankans were all out for in the 49th over, so 1 over to spare there. Bandra with 50 was the only other batsman apart from the openers to put up any kind of resistance. Finally, on to the rugby news then, and the Women's Rugby World Cup, which was the World Cup 2021, which is the women's version. Had the recommendation gone to World Rugby for it to be postponed by a year. That now has been ratified, so it's official that it will be postponed. Everyone knew it was going to be since that recommendation had been leaked. So everyone knew that was going to happen. Still radio silence on what the Black Ferns might get up to this season from New Zealand Rugby, as we talked about during the Driving Maul show on Tuesday night. Again, that's available as a podcast, or you can watch the recording of the video of that one as well. Also, New Zealand Rugby are looking at, will be launching a new under-20s competition, the Super Rugby Under-20s Championship, looking at being held in Taupo in April, which will help after a couple of disappointing years at the World Rugby Under-20 Championships. This is seen as a stepping stone to improve on that, and will be considered as a this will double up as also the trial matches for that selection for those for that team as well. Still, though, no news on a potential women's Super Rugby tournament. Again, radio silence on that side of things. You have now started the day the best way up to with all of the important sports news. Have a fantastic Thursday, folks. Catch me this evening at 8 p.m. as we preview all of the Super Rugby games this weekend. And obviously, I'll be back at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning with the morning sports briefing.